这里是北卡三角区华人归正浸信会，欢迎大家收听我们的节目。所以让大家知道，就是我的先生和我们是你们的邻居。我每周三都在这个教会里面，我们都在教小朋友。
So you don't have to just ask us questions now. I have some ideas about how we can help long term.
所以呢，你如果来不及问问题，没关系啊，我们是长期的合作伙伴，你可以随时慢慢问，我们就在你们的身边啊。
Psalm 127.
诗篇137篇。
Reminds us that children are a heritage of the Lord.
告诉我们，小朋友们是耶和华的产业。
There is no one who is better equipped and positioned to guide them in their Christian faith, in their knowledge of God, and also in how they integrate all of the ideas in the world, but you.
那在世界上没有人比你更加合适去教导你的小孩子关于神的知识，以及去把万事万物都和我们的信仰去联系起来。If you can make your sentence
shorter. Okay, sorry. And you don't have to do it alone.
而且你不是必须得你一个人去做这样的事情啊，你不孤单。
I want to talk about some principles.
我想讨论一些原则。
About Christian education.
关于基督教教育
The
的。
first is a question of the difference between virtue
第一个是关于美德
and value
和价值之间的区
别。In Christian education,
根据基督教教育呢
we organize our studies
我们安排我们的这个学习呢
by something called the trivium.
是根据一个叫三段论的一个形式。
The idea
这个观念呢，就是
is that you will be working with your child
你会和你的小孩子一起去工作去学习
at the level that makes sense for the learning of that age.
是要按照他的年龄适合他的这个程度的这个能力去教导他们。
The first stage is called the grammar stage.
那第一个步骤呢，就是学习语法，叫语法阶段。
That is kindergarten through 6th grade.
这从幼儿园到6年级。
The primary approach is factual learning.
那主要让他们学呢，就是一些事实发生的事情。
Children at very young ages
小朋友在很年轻的时候
are given original source literature.
他们会学习一个就是基本的一些文学方面的东西。
And they learn to savor, like to love. To love. They learn to appreciate, even if they don't intellectually understand it. Rhyme, for example. The smallest child, when something rhymes, your 2-year-old is excited about that.
所以呢，首先是培养他们的兴趣，就像比方说他们唱这个儿歌或唱诗歌的时候这押韵的部分就让他们先喜欢上。
And we teach them to memorize.
然后呢，我们要教导他们去记忆背诵。
They look at artistic masterpieces.
他们会看一些非常重要的一些著作。
And they actually try to imitate them.
他们会学着去模仿。
They learn to look at a map.
他们会学着去看地图。
And represent it by memory.
然后呢，去把它们记下来。
They learn that God made math and logic.
他们要知道是神创造了数学和逻辑学。
For beauty and order.
是为了整个世界的秩序和世界的美好。
It's part of what it means to bear the image of God.
这也是我们带着神形象它这个意思的一部分。
Specifically,
尤其是
the pattern of male and female
就是男性和女性的这个样式
has the purpose of godly marriage, child rearing,
是为了让我们有敬虔的婚姻，培养敬虔的儿女。
and Christian culture.
也是为了去塑造整个的基督徒的文化。
It is astounding how much your 5-year-old can appreciate all of this.
所以呢，你要知道，你的可能5岁的小孩子，他就可以明白很多的东西，你会很惊讶。
At the next level is called the dialectic or the logic level.
那下面一个呢，就是逻辑的这个阶段，
7th and 8th grade.
就是7年级和8年级。
Students are learning to debate,
小朋友们就要学习去辩论、
discuss,
讨论，
and draw conclusions.
然后呢，要自己得出结论。
What they're not doing in our schools
他们在我们学校不会学的呢，
is trying to guess what's on your mind
不是去猜你想的是什么，
or simply fill in a blank.
或者是好像
Yeah, in other words, they are creatively engaging with ideas.
他们是需要自己带着创造力，然后去和不同的思想去交流。
They also study how arguments are made
他们也要去学习如何做出陈述，
and how to reason with clarity.
如何清晰的去思维，有逻辑思维。
The third level is
第3个层面，
the rhetoric level.
就是修辞学的层面。
I teach at that level in this co-op.
我在这个教会的这个共学团前，我是教修辞学的。
I have a PhD in English literature,
我是英文文学的博士。
and I teach in the literature and writing program in our co-op.
所以呢，我是教这个英文文学和写作的。
I used to be a university professor.
我以前是大学教授。
Most of the other teachers in our co-op are equally as educated and trained as I am.
你要知道，在这间教会的共学团体，很多其他老师都跟我一样受到过类似的训练。
And when we write letters of recommendations for our students,
所以，当我们为我们的学生写推荐信的时候，
it carries weight.
要知道还是很有分量的。
That's important, right?
对，这很重要。
we're not making this up. Okay, so the rhetoric level is 9th to 12th grade.
所以9年级到12年级是修辞学的阶段。
Students are prepared to present their ideas,
学生呢要去学习如何去展现他们的思想，
their scientific findings,
他们的这个科学上的一些发现，
their faith convictions,
他们的信仰告白，
their creative writing and their expository writing,
他们的这些写作，包括一些可能要对一些文章进行分析，然后要进行写作。
and to read very high quality of literature
他们要读一些非常有高质量的文学书籍，
and understand the worldview implications.
也要知道他们的所持有的世界观对于他们意味着什么，就是整个世界观展开了，就不单单只是一个最基本的东西。
Worldviews have consequences,
所以你要知道，你的世界观一定会带出一个实际的后果结果来。
and bad worldviews have casualties.
那么糟糕世界观甚至会带来一些非常糟糕的后果。
The other very important part of a classical education
那么经典的、古典的基督教教育另外一个重要的部分就是，
is something that you are much better at than anybody else I know,
就是我知道你比其他人都更加厉害，你们
and that is foreign language study.
那就学外语
No, this is important.
这很重
The
要。
legacy that you are giving your children
你给你小孩子的遗产，
by making sure that they are as proficient in Chinese as they are in English
确保他们就是英文、中文都很好，
is a huge gift to them.
对于他们来说是一个巨大的礼物。
Do not underestimate it.
不要低估了这些东西。
The third is the emphasis that we have on great books, great ideas, and great conversations.
那另外一个呢，就是说我们非常重视那些伟大的思想、伟大的书籍，还有一些伟大的一些对话。
The fourth
第4个，
is what we call covenantal partnerships.
那就是我们所谓的大家之间彼此盟约、立约的关系。
In our co-op,
那在我们的共学团体当中呢，
my children have you all for teachers, and likewise, your children have me.
所以呢，我们是彼此就是互相做老师，也是互相教导。我教导你的孩子，你可能作为老师教导我的孩子。
So in the co-op that meets here at this church,
那在这间教会的共学团体当中呢，
every teacher
每一个老师，
and the curriculum
包括整个课程的设计，
are under the guidance of your elders and your pastors.
都是在你们的教会的牧师和长老的指导之下完成汇编的。
So when we work together
所以当我们在一起合作的时候，
and entrust one another
并且彼此的信靠，
with the teaching of each other's children,
我们教导彼此的小孩子，
we are under authority of this church.
我们是在这个教会的权柄之下进行运作的。
Now, I cannot stress enough
那我没有办法更加强调这一点，
how dangerous the public school systems are today.
就是公立的这个系统的危险性。
I just returned from the ADF conference, that's Alliance Defending Freedom.
他刚刚从在这个会议做完讲言。
These are the lawyers that protect religious liberty.
那这个协会呢，主要都是由一些律师，就是去I know that advice， 就保护这个宗教自由的律师组成的这么一个联盟。
Ever since 2015,
那么自从2015年以来呢，
it has been legal for public schools to conceal important information about what your child is learning and how they are feeling, how they are doing.
所以呢，从2015年以来，就公立学校它是合法的，就是说它可以隐藏一些你自己的小孩子在公立学校所学习到的内容，以及他们内心的一些感受和想法，都可以隐藏起来。
We are currently suing
我们目前在控告
Durham County Schools.
Durham 的这个县的学校，
They are Marxist.
他们是马克思主义者，
They teach your children to waste their time.
他们教导他们的学生浪费时间。
They now have known practices of concealing dangerous books and dangerous suggestions.
They did not.
They do. No, they really do. They have a known practice of concealing from you what you need to know.
他们会隐藏一些你们是需要知道的一些重要的信息。
But I believe we have the resources right here in this church
但是我们相信在这间教会我们有足够的资源，
to help any parent who wants to remove a child from public school.
我们可以帮助你们。如果你们想要从这个公立系统退出来的话，我们可以办学。
One of the emphases of classical Christian education
那么古典基督教育的一个重点就是
is the interconnectedness of ideas.
就是观念之间的相互的融合。
Knowledge is more like a web
那么知识呢，更像一张巨网、大网，
than a chest of drawers.
而不是那个象棋的那个网格。
Children learn to make connections among the disciplines
那么学生呢，要通过就是不同的学科，要知道学科之间的联系，
seeing God as the center of all of this.
要知道神是这一切学科的中心。
One of the other things we do
那另外一件事情我们在做的呢，
is we train the affections.
我们在训练他们的感情。
Created in God's image,
那么按照神的形象被创造，
every person
每一个人
has the capacity
都有能力
to love what is lovely
去爱那些可爱的东西，
and to abhor what is evil.
去恨恶那些罪恶的东西。
But that doesn't come naturally.
但这些东西呢，不是自然而然就出来的。
So we learn how to submit all things to Christ.
所以我们要学习如何把一切东西都服在基督的权柄之下。
We care about shepherding young hearts and minds.
我们很关心，要注重培养他们的这些小羊，他们的内心。
And in a Christian school or a Christian co-op,
那不管是在基督教的学校，还是在基督教的这个共学的团体，
we discipline with Christian care.
我们是带着基督徒的关心，我们要去惩戒这些小朋友。
We expect discipline from our children.
我们其实是期盼去他们从惩戒当中能学到东西。
And we teachers conduct ourselves with discipline.
那我们的老师，我们自己也会我们的行为其实也会进行自我惩戒。
We teach virtue,
我们会教导美德，
which is rooted in God's creation,
所谓的美德其实根植于神的创造的秩序
as opposed to value,
，as opposed to， 而是对抗
different than,
去对抗不同的价值。
value which is rooted in feelings or political, cultural trends.
而不是从一些可能从这些政治的教导或者从人内心里面出来的这些价值体系，其实是和我们所教导美德或许是不一样的。
So just practically speaking,
所以我们讲实际一点的问题。
Kent and I have homeschooled our children
Kent 和我呢，我们在家里面教导我们小孩子，
from the very beginning.
从一开始的时候，
Before they were able to even feed themselves,
在他们能够自己吃饭之前，
they learned how to sit and listen
他们学习如何做，如何听。
at the dinner table when Kent would read the Bible.
在吃饭的时候，所以 Kent 呢，他会带领他们读圣经。
Family devotions is the first classroom.
所以呢，家庭的这个共同的敬拜呢，是第一个教室。
We, as Kent said,
正如 Kent 说的，
we opened our homeschool in the Department of Non-Public Education.
我们在这个非公立教育系统的这个教育部门，我们开展我们的在家教育。
But then we joined co-ops.
然后呢，我们参加了共学团体。
And part of why we did that
那么我们之所以这么做的一部分的原因呢，
is I needed accountability.
我也需要有人可以来照看我也需要有这个负责任的对象。
And although I have a PhD in English,
尽管我在英文方面我有博士学位，
I was one of the first crop of tenured radicals in this country.
for 10 years.
Yeah, I was tenured in the kind of discipline that you don't want your children to know. I was one of those radical Marxist professors.
我曾经是那个极端的这个马克思主义的教授女权的这 LGBT 急先锋，是吧？
So what we say is homeschooling teaches two generations at the same time.
所以呢，你要知道，可能在家教育你同时是教两代人。
Right. So we also joined the Homeschool Legal Defense Association.
我们也参加了这个就是维护或者说为这个在家教育辩护的这个联盟。
And it has really been a useful thing for us. You don't have to do it, but I have found it to be useful and helpful.
你当然你不一定需要去加入，但就是说，我觉得可能对我们是比较有益处，有用。
So just on a practical level, you probably know this, but in this church you have a large, very successful classical Christian co-op.
那你要知道，在这间教会它是有一个非常成功的古典的基督教教育同学团体。
If there's anything I can do
如果有任何我可以做的事情，
to help you be a bridge to that co-op,
去帮助你去建立和这间教会的关系，
or to help you establish one when you get to, is it Parkwood or Parkside? Parkside, yeah.
或者是帮助你们还有这个 Parkside Baptist Church 共同建立一个。
I think we have a lot of resources here
那我认为我们已经有足够的资源，
to help. But until that time,
但是呢，在这个时间之前，
it is not difficult to enroll in a homeschool co-op.
其实你也继续的是可以把你小孩子直接调到这个共学团体当中来。
And depending upon what kind of age and need of your child,
那取决于小孩子的年纪，你小孩子的需要到底是什么。
it is possible to maintain a job outside the home and homeschool.
那我们是希望在你自己的工作和这边的这个教育之间达成一个平衡。
The Bible organizes relationships among Christians.
那圣经教导我们要维持好和其他信徒之间彼此之间的关系。
And in Titus 2, we see good examples of that.
那我们也的确看到一些很美好的榜样。
You have a number of homeschool moms in this church
那么在这个教会呢，你有很多可能搞在家教育的妈妈，
who have graduated their homeschool children.
他们的小孩都已经毕业了。
And I could imagine that they would be good resources to help when, if you're at work and you need someone to drill your child on math facts. I can't imagine that we can't make these relationships happen. Yeah.
我们可以让这样的关系去实现，就是说，可能当你要上班的时候，要工作的时候，因为我们有足够的老师，可能有家庭会帮助你们照看。
Satan wants you to think you're not equipped.
撒旦希望你们知道，你们自己是好像装备不够。
None of us are equipped by ourselves.
那我们自己的确是没有一个人是装备的是够的。
But we're part of the body of Christ.
但是我们是基督的肢体的一部分。
And you have a number of people in this church who are well equipped to come up
在
alongside
教会
you.
当中也有很多装备的很好的人。
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Still have enough time.
Oh yeah, we up.
7:52.
Yeah, what do you want to do? Ask questions?
Yeah, but do you want to take a break? We can take a break at how about 7 o'clock until 7 o'clock? Okay. 我们休息一下，休息8分钟好不好？我们7点回来，因为我们预计的要早。We're supposed to 7:30.